2014, but since February of last year in much larger and more terrible volumes. Civilians in Ukraine die almost every day. Russia continues missiles attacks and drone bombing of other cities. We have an air alert every day in Kyiv, Kharkiv, Dnipro, Zaporizhia, other cities. When I just landed here in Seoul, I immediately saw that there is an air alert in Ukraine, and it's happening in the middle of the night, mostly 2-3 o'clock in the night or in the morning. 2 days ago, fragments of downed Russia drones fell on civilian houses on Kyiv, where me and my family lives. They are not, unfortunately, so happily, there is not killed people that day, only injured people, but it's also very sad. And but just 10 days ago, there was another terrible tragedy in a small town of Uman, where again a Russian rocket destroyed an entire block of multi-story buildings where people were sleeping peacefully. 23 people died, 6 of them children. According to the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation into Ukraine, 501 child have died and almost 1,000 more have been injured. This is how it happens. Nothing has changed. Russia continues to kill people, and Belarus helped in this. At the moment, 15 sports journalists are serving in the Ukrainian army. They defended the independence and freedom of Ukraine. These are active professional journalists. Among them are football TV commentator, radio commentator, TV reporter, written media, and also Vlad Dunayenko, whom many of you know. Let me remind you, he took a week off from his serving in the army last October when he came to Rome at the invitation of AAPS to talk about how things really look. He's now in the trenches at ground zero, as military say. It is near the city of Kreminna. It's Lugansk Oblast, Lugansk region, where some interesting fact, there is a training ground for track and field athletes, and this training ground was in active use before last February, when full-scale invasion began. But now it's impossible to make training there because it's occupied. This city is occupied. So Vlad recorded a 2-minute video from the trenches of Donbas for us. So let's see it.
My greetings to you, my colleagues. I am Vladislav Dunayenko, and I hope that you know me or remember me from the previous Congress from Rome. And today I'm on the front line near Kreminna. It's on the east of Ukraine, and now it's more than 1 year that I became combat medic. Before I was as you, a sport journalist. And of course, in this warm evening in April or May, I want to be on the stadium on the football match and make texts about my favorite team or about my favorite game, about football or maybe about boxing. But I need to be here and protect my family, protect my love and my territory, my nation, my country. And now it's maybe the hardest fightings on the east of Ukraine, on Donbas. And all of you, I hope, and me and my country, we are waiting for counterattack and hope to deoccupated our territory. So in this day in a Congress in Seoul, I want to say a few words that you need to remember that your life, your simple life and your calm life now here in Ukraine, because every soldier protect not only Ukraine but calm life of all world and all Europe. And you need to know that many Russian sportsmen, they are part of Russian army, and they killed our guys, our sportsmen. For example, in Crimea now, one of the complex for running for our athletes, but they can't train on it because it's occupied. So I want to remember for you that on the Olympic Games we need to ban Russian and Belarusian sportsmen, because every day they killed our sportsmen, our sport and our stadiums and different gyms. So my greetings to you, hope to see you soon and make a great work together. Hi for Johnny, hi for my mentors, for Ricardo, Martin, for Maria Pia and for Kir. Hope to see you soon too. Bye.
But he's in trenches. And when we had our executive committee AIPS Europe meeting in Istanbul, it was in March. He got concussion. Thanks God he alive, but two other guys who were with him died. Okay, so this is our reality. And I would like to say that another famous TV commentator, Roberto Morales, with Spanish roots, so he's father from Chile, but he born in Ukraine, so he returned to serve in the army. He was earlier in 2015-16, before full-scale invasion, but after that, after army, he returned to work, and now 2 weeks ago he just returned to serve, and I just asked colleagues to show his photo, just to mention it. Roberto Morales, he's famous. This is another one this children who died at Uman. We will show it now. Another one picture if you can. It's also another one, but okay, sorry, I didn't prepare it so well. It's my fault. This is Roberto Morales. He works on the football channels, on sporting channels, and he is now with a weapon. This is part of reality, unfortunately. Apart from Vlad and Roberto, sport journalism still exists in Ukraine, but due to the war, Ukrainian journalists have not good conditions and opportunity for their work. So we from Ukraine calling to you, our colleagues all over the world, support us by ordering some materials. It should be printed, video, photos, radio. In English, it's not a problem to make the material. So there are impressive and shocking stories about Ukrainian athletes during this war, about some journalists as well. So you could get interesting exclusive stories and help Ukrainian media to survive in this difficult time. For example, even Roberto Morales, as I said, he has a Spanish roots, Chilean roots, so he could speak Spanish. Of course, he couldn't make the material, but maybe some Spanish-speaking colleagues will be interested in some commentaries, because I know that during the war, many of them called me, but unfortunately I couldn't speak Spanish, so I couldn't help them with commentary. Of course, Roberto serving, so I don't know about his free time, but at least if you are interested, we could try to do it, because I think you're interested to having information from first hand. So I want to thank for the constant support from the very first days of the full-scale invasion, to the president of AAPS, Gianni Merlo, and to the president of AAPS, Charles Kamenzuli, for your support, for your calling me, asking me, and also all our European colleagues, because we, of course, tightly working in Europe. They call and text me and asking about colleagues. So we are very thankful for this support. It's very important that you not feeling that you are alone in this world. So, and it continues. So thank you very much, friends. We are very, very appreciative. So in the first months of the war, the residence of one of the long-time members of the AIPS in Irpin, near Kyiv, was almost completely destroyed by a direct hit from tank shells. That's one of the story about journalists that I would like to share. So our colleagues from AAPS, long term, his apartment was fully destroyed, almost fully destroyed. And I asked Gianni Merlo to help him financially, to help restore his destroyed building. And I have responded and have help for him. So we are very thankful for this too. Thank you very much for that. It's very important as always. So continue to live. It's very important things, even despite the war. That's what we do in Ukraine. Children go to school, people work, sports competition continue, and sporty journalists as well trying to work. It's not easy. It is very difficult, frankly speaking. Let's say a week ago, during the Ukrainian Swimming Championship, which took place in the satellite city of Kyiv, Brovary, the swimmers sat in the basement for 3 hours, waiting for the air alarm ends. And on the night from 30th of April to 1st of May, I already mentioned when missile fired by Russian military bomber hit a multi-story building, killing 23 people, including 6 children. Now we can show these children. So the house was located only 300 meters from the hotel where the participants of Ukrainian canoeing championship lived, including the 2 times medalist of last Olympiad in Tokyo, Lyudmila Luzan. So it was only 300 meters. Athletes survived, thanks God, but of course they stopped the championship, so they not finished this national championship because of that. These athletes survived, but during the beginning of full-scale invasion, 250 athletes have died, and it's very important for us to tell what is happening in Ukraine. So competitions are taken in Ukraine. It was resumed beginning from the last August, September, and national championship first was football. So the competition continues now in 8 leagues, including men's, women, youth, children competition. But when we have air raid alarm, so it stopped and competition suspended, and all officials, players, when we're talking about football and media have possibility for accreditation. It's very important. That's what we are looking for, of course. And we have, of course, understanding with the organizers and with authorities. So media also, everybody goes to basement, to shelter, and wait until the competition ends. And after that, it continues. For example, I had the longest match in my history, but it's not only in my career, at the moment in Ukrainian history. The football match lasts for 4.5 years, because during this match it was 3 air raid alarm. It was the Independence Day of Ukraine, and Russian especially did it many times. So it was three breaks, and finally we finished in 4.5 hours after beginning of the match. But many athletes train abroad, preparing for international competitions, and do not have the opportunity to return and train calmly at home, because since the beginning of the war, the Russian army has destroyed 95 facilities completely, and 248 facilities have significant or partial damage. So in total, it's 343 facilities worth about $250 billion were affected. However, now there are big doubts that Ukrainian athletes will participate in international competitions, since the IOC and International Federation have begun to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete, which is absolutely unacceptable for Ukrainian in general and Ukrainian athletes. And this is not a political matter, it is a matter of morality. As I have already said, 250 athletes from Ukraine have died since the beginning of the war. Some time ago, a special exhibition called Angels of Sport. I would like to show the picture, where it was three pictures we have. So a special exhibition, it's called Angels of Sport. The athletes who died or were killed. Can we show the picture, please? Yeah, there is a 3 picture, just to show you. But anyway, it was before, maybe you mentioned already. So it was open in Kyiv, where photographs of these athletes are presented. So these athletes from different levels, thankfully, as we could say like this, thankfully there is no current Olympians at the moment, but there there were very young athletes, like 11-year-old girl Katya Dyachenko, gymnast from Mariupol, who dreamed of becoming an Olympic champion, but this dream will not come true. Or another example, the mother of the bronze medalist of the European Championship in high jump, who can become a participant of the Olympic Games this time. Mother, not athlete, but just an example. Her mother died during the bombing in Kharkiv. So Ukrainians will not perform at the Olympics if Russians and Belarusians will perform there, despite the importance of the Olympics and the World Championship for every athlete. They will not be. And not because there is such a decision of the Ukrainian Ministry of Sport or government. It's like a decision of the IOC's recommendation. But athletes couldn't do it because of moral principle, as I said. Because an athlete career is not more valuable than human life. Any career is not worth a person's life. So we can accept that in sports that our athletes will compete with their representatives from country which bombing and killing us. Because with or without the flag, they remain representatives of Russia, and it's no secret that they receive funds from the government. Moreover, at first, the IOC said that athletes readmitted to the competition should publicly condemn the war, but this is not happening. More than 10 international federations have already allowed Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete, and there have been no public condemnations of the war by them. So when I started, I said that nothing has changed since the beginning of the war in Russia's behavior. They continue to kill the civilian population. The Ukrainian army successfully resists them, liberates the occupied cities, and Russia already has many losses in the army which they did not even think of having. But in response, they destroy the civilian population. How can such a country be represented in sport? I'm not the only one who asked this question. We know that 300 fencers over the world have made a statement that they are against the readmission of Russian and Belarusians to the competition. Germany and Poland refused to organize competition if Russian or Belarusian athletes participate. Last week, the sports ministry of 36 countries of the world, most of them European, issued a joint statement in which they questioned the recommendations of the IOC and of the readmission of Russian and Belarusian athletes, and called IOC reconsider this decision. Therefore, it is obvious that the country that kills civilians cannot be participant in a peaceful competition. So I would like to emphasize that this is not a matter of politics. This is what Ukrainians live and breathe. Ordinary Ukrainians, like me or you, I am not a politician, however, we cannot remain aside and don't just look what's happening. We are also an organization with authority, and we can express our position because it is not about journalistic neutrality. We continue to cover events neutrally as a journalist, but as an organization we can give our assessment and express our attitude. And I am very grateful to my colleagues from AAPS Europe who supported my proposal, and yesterday we issued a statement in which we all together, AAPS Europe, noted that AAPS Europe, aware of the current situation in Ukraine, while giving all possible support to the Sport Journalists Association of Ukraine, condemns with no reserve the attacks by Russia on Ukraine, which led to the war situation since February 2022. At the same time, in view of such war situation, AAPS Europe hopes that International Sport Federation and the IOC, International Olympic Committee, reconsider the position of readmission of athletes from Russia and Belarus in international competition. This is important voice in defense of peace, in defense of sport, and the human rights of athletes to compete peacefully. So once more, I'm very grateful to my colleagues for support this, and thank you all for your attention. Peace to you and glory to Ukraine.